Ready for the mosh pit, Shaka Bra.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to StrangeCast, Player One vs. World's Life is Strange podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adnan. My co-host Adam is here. Adam, you here?
I'm here. It's really bright in my room, so all the color is lost in my room.
Yes, the colour is all lost. It's very bright here as well, as you can see here. It's quite bright from the sun, so I'm going to have to keep moving things around here as well. Yeah, we're in a very lightish mood. Maybe not.
Maybe, yes. Oh, yeah, look at us in good moods.
Yes. By the way, I think the Lost Records Journal is cursed. Like there was an editing issue in the other one. It's like the only podcast. This has been better. StrangeCast had a run where it's like, you know, this is going to get cursed as well. But like, it had a better run after like a post-curse period. Now the Lost Records Journal is just cursed every episode. It's like every single episode something keeps happening. I'm like, why? Why is this happening to me? It's like I only want just to make a podcast so we can put it out there for people to listen to. But no, not going to happen.
No.
But there is a new episode out as well, by the way, so do check that out. We're here for StrangeCast. If you are new here, as always, please do consider dropping subscribe on the channel, turn notifications, like the video, and share with your friends. Helps you support the YouTube channel. We're at 1230 subscribers, so thank you so much to everyone who subscribed. And also, as well, StrangeCast available on all podcast services, Apple Podcasts, Spotify with all the video version. Everything is on there as well, so do check it out. We've just crossed 223 followers on Spotify with 25 ratings now as well, which is really nice as well. So we've got 25 ratings. So if you haven't rated us, please do rate us, because it does help support our visibility on Spotify, and do follow us as well, because you can get all your episodes up to date as they are released on RSS feeds. So Adam, this is the first episode of 2 for this month, I believe, of StrangeCast. So we are back here, and I think the best way to start this off is our first piece of news, which I think is very, very fitting. So this is none other than going to Pocket Tactics. Life is Strange Game Boy D-Make looks hella good. Woohoo!
Yes. Let's go.
So we're going to Kaylee Partleton, who has written here, Life is Strange holds a special place in many people's, in the heart of many players, introducing them to a fantastic story and a great cast of characters, one of which, Max Caulfield, is poised to make a triumphant return in the upcoming Life is Strange Double Exposure. So with that in mind, there's no better time to dive into Life is Strange Game Boy D-Make. Yes, you read that right, and it looks hella cool. Whilst the original Life is Strange is a narrative-driven episodic game, the Game Boy game, dubbed Lifeis2-D and created by Lifeis2-D, adopts a 2D RPG approach to the game. Make no mistakes, however, it keeps the episodic method to Dontnod's original masterpiece. Lifeis2-D's lovingly crafted rendition of Life is Strange has been in the works for a few years, though it came to our attention after being shared on Twitter by Player One vs. the World on X. Woo-hoo!
That's you!
All 5 episodes of games are now available, and just like in the original, there are various dialogue options and choices for you to choose to make the to have consequences. And then I'm going to leave all that part here. Life is Strange 2D is seemingly one of the best games like Life is Strange you can play, especially if you enjoy retro games, given that it is Life is Strange in a whole new way. So I'm just trying to keep pushing through here. Okay,
I can't think of a better way to spend time waiting for double exposure.
That's it.
I'm sure Lifeis2-D really appreciates that comment.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is quite the story as well, because like, let me give you a bit of context between this, Adam, as well, because I was sitting at home, and no one actually knows this. I was sitting at home. I'd played all the 5 episodes. Just to give context, I played all, and I made 5 gorgeous graphics. I'm not gonna lie, 5 gorgeous graphics to share on Twitter and all the other platforms got deleted. I was furious. Yeah, I was. I don't know what happened there. I think I did it because Lifeis2-D asked us. He put out the 5th episode and said, like, any retweets and stuff, that'd be greatly appreciated. And we retweeted off of there, but no one, it was one of those kind of things where the attention was there, but it wasn't like huge in terms of like just grabbing someone's attention or something. So did that, and then I was sitting at home thinking, like, I'll just do it again in some like little graphics way, because it might actually like help promote it on, it might catch people's eye a bit easier. So made 5 graphics, all got deleted. So I'm like furious. I'm like, I'm going to tweet about it at some point, but I don't know if I'm going to do it today. So I was like close to like just giving up there. I was like, no, I'll just make one. So I made like a very bog standard graphic. I thought, okay, that's enough. Not what I wanted, but if 1 or 2 people see it, 1 or 2 people click, it'll probably make his day. Great. So I put it out there. So I'm like, okay, we'll leave it there. then it's like, and it's like, and I'm like, okay. And then Nicefield, people know who Nicefield is on Twitter. You should go and check Nicefield out. Nicefield is really nice. Nicefield likes it. I'm like, okay. Then it says on my notification comes on my phone, Nicefield reposted. I'm like, oh. And Nicefield's like 10,000 plus followers on Twitter. I'm like, oh. So I'm like, okay, like, and I'm like, okay, the worst possible graphic I could have made myself has gone like, it's starting to pick up a lot of traction. And then I'm like sitting there and I'm eating my dinner. And next minute I look at my phone, Luke Bagnos has reposted. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, oh, it was like nonstop. It's like Christian Devine liked it, Juliet liked it, Luke liked it, and then Chris from Lifeis2-D retweeted. I'm like, the one graphic that could have been like a lot better. It's like that's the one that does it. But like it got like 40,000 views on like Twitter, which is like crazy. And then I think like Lifeis2-D, like last post, it's well over 10,000 views on the website where you can go and play it, which is like crazy. Like it, and I felt this as well. I was like, I couldn't make Abby go viral, but at least I made Lifeis2-D go like semi-viral within Life is Strange at least, which I'm like all for. But yeah, it was just like mad to see that. If anything, let me just see if I can pull the graphic up. Actually, I'm going to pull it up because we have actually got screen sharing features here, which we used on the last episode, and some of our listeners did seem to enjoy that. So let me grab that, and we're going to go to screen sharing here.
Yes.
It doesn't seem to have picked it up yet. There it is. So I'm going to go to share. And if you are new here, by the way, as well, you'll know that we did this for Lost Records Journal and it worked out quite nicely. But yeah, there's the post that I made, which was like, there's the link as well, guys, if you do want to go and check it out. I should recommend you should go and check it out as well. I did play it myself. So I made this like little graphic and I was like, right. And then by the way, it's like more extravagant, the one that I did last time. It's like 5 of them and it was like properly well built. And I was like, okay, I'll just put this one out together. And there it was. And it just went crazy viral. Like, damn. And I was like, right, let's take advantage. I'm like, you should follow us for the news. Like,
you love those little penguins.
Yeah, the penguins are, they're nice little touch them. They're very like soft. It's like just nice things to reply with people. But yeah, Lifeis2-D got blown up there. I was like, what? I was like, I didn't even expect that just from one tweet after another. And it was like mad. So we had like 43,000 views off that alone.
Hold up. Can I call you out on something real quick?
What?
So if we scroll down on the comments here, we keep scrolling on the comments of your tweets. So you have control here. So you got to scroll down. We're going right here onto up where you replied to Lifeis2-D.
Okay, so we're going to quickly cut out to this part because we were looking at the wrong reply as Adam was, trying to call me out of this. We're getting called out for this, apparently. So I'm going to scroll down. This was a Lost Records episode. Adam thought it was very funny. There's all the links as well. So Lifeis2-D gave us shouts in that we are in the credits, which was really lovely. I put, you're too kind. Let's move down here. So said that, listen to it. And I put a copium thing here. And then Adam, who spends barely any time on Twitter, comes on, is like, yeah, I'm just going to call you out. Instead of messaging me privately, he's like, yeah I'm going to call you out. And I said, listen back to him as well, because I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, the one time you call me out for like, come on, man. Like, but yeah, anyway, let's just we'll end this part of the recording part. There we go. So we'll go back to full screen. Yeah. So we got called out for that. I was like, come on, dude. You could have just messaged me privately and be like, let's get this off.
You bloody git.
Honestly. But yeah, if you want your Life is Strange fix, go and check it out. It is there. It's now gone nicely into the community. I think Lifeis2-D told us there's over 10,000 people that have viewed the page, let alone like, the one that he created. And yeah, it's quite nice that it's a little nice story for people in the community as well. Crazy as well, because like you think about how many years and like how much time he's put towards that. And it had like nowhere near the same level of recognition. Obviously I know Luke and Michelle and other people knew about it, but it's like then that one moment has like literally just created a buzz, and it's like I feel so happy just knowing that someone else has had that like little bit of like push out there, which is really nice. Just a little bit of recognition. It's kind of it does get lost on people. So yeah, do go and check it out. It is available. I don't know if I can link it on YouTube. It's just annoying for that in terms of like getting links, but yeah, do go and check out. You saw the link there. We saw the post. Adam, next piece of news.
Definitely.
switching gears completely to the next piece of news.
Yeah.
And by the way, as well, I think Games Radar has done the best here for the title as well, which I gave them more credit for, and I pulled them up for this. So we got none other than Life is Strange double exposure news. We're going to Games Radar here, and they put as the title, Life is Strange double exposure confirms Max becoming a major Final Fantasy VII stan with some adorable crossover outfits locked behind the $80 Ultimate Edition.
Yeah, honestly.
Which is...
I love the word locked behind. Yeah.
Yeah, some serious sassiness in that headline, so I really appreciate that. But yeah, we've got here as well, so it's Life is Strange, double exposure is reaching... should I read this? Okay, so basically, it's got... I'm going to condense this rather than reading it. It is the Final Fantasy VII outfit pack that you get, or the Final Fantasy outfit pack you get from the double exposure Ultimate Edition. And it features different outfits. So you have a bomb, a cactus, a chocobo, and Tomberry print on the t-shirt. Then you have the Moogle coat and beanie, which we've seen in Max in some of the photos. That's the story. They basically give us a full expose of the entire outfit pack, so you can see the images of the outfit pack. They are now available. So I'm going to kind of condense that in the terms of the story, because I don't want to read them all out, if anything. But yeah, we kind of got confirmation of these are the outfits, if anything. And I don't know if we should bring this up with Adam, because I don't know what his reaction is going to be.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, actually, because this is in a general sense, including with the outfits. Do you ever even change your character's outfits in games when you get bonus cosmetics like this?
Yeah.
Because I never do it. Like, I get them with like the Life is Strange Remastered Collection. It gave us all those different outfits you could put on like Chloe and stuff. I just don't really change outfits. I really don't care about it, you know?
Well, like in your defense, that's like the 100th time you wore that same Bob Dylan shirt now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
very warm, man. It's very warm and it's laundry day, right? It's like... Am I getting called out here? Am I just getting called out here? It's been 2 call-outs now. Like, come on.
I think it really depends on your personality. It's kind of like the same way, like, they do studies of, like, how aggressive you are in games. It's just how aggressive you are as a person. If you're, like, generally a person that, like, changes outfits often, you're probably going to change outfits often in games. So I think it just depends on your personality. You know what I mean? I more do it because I'm like, hey, I paid for these outfits. I'm going to use these outfits. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I do. I like for the Before the Storm one. Yeah, I change the outfits all the time.
Do you know one of the things I used to do to get my money back from games? When I used to play Gears of War at launch and used to buy them. You used to get bonus DLC codes from Amazon and stuff. I used to flog them on eBay and like get my money. I'd get like basically a fraction of my portion of my money back, and then I'd rebuy the code at a cheaper price.
That's such a, like, what? So you sell the, what?
So, like, say, for example, Gears of War 2 came out and you had the Cantus code, for example.
I understand your Ponzi scheme. I understand that. But
Ponzi?
Like...
It's a proficient scheme, if anything. Just sell it on.
Yeah,
like,
same thing as Perlman from NSYNC saying that. Lou Pearlman.
Well, look, there is a market for it. If people are going to spend money on it and spend ridiculous amounts of money, which they're willing to do and inflate things, there is a market for it. I'm doing it in the ethical sense where it's like, I don't want this code. I don't care about it. If you're willing to pay me X amount of money and I get my portion of my money back from the game that I spend.
But then you buy the same code back at a cheaper price? But then why you... I don't know anymore. I'm just gonna sip my coffee then. So, but do you want the code?
Not necessarily speaking. Like, it depends on the game. Like Gears of War, I'm more invested in, so I might like buy it at a later date when people have stopped playing it and stuff. But like for the opening moments, not really. I'm like, you know what? I can live without the Cantus code. If it comes out cheaper, I can get it then. Great. If I don't have to buy,
are you like breaking even, or are you trying to make a profit?
No, not profiting. I'm just basically taking like a little bit extra money back where I can. You know, if I'm not going to use the outfit, why download it? I'll sell it to someone else who wants it.
Sure, but then you're buying the same code back, you know, with the same outfit, right?
Yeah, but cheaper.
But like you had the code. That's what's getting me. It's like, I'm going to give the code away to someone who wants it, but I want the code.
But like, if I could sell it off, because I don't want it to start with, I could sell it off for like $15, $20, yeah. And then for example, it just like loses all appeal and it doesn't get off like where people really want it. It's not limited edition.
Sure.
I can buy it back for $5. Why wouldn't I just do that then? Buy it back for $5.
Why not just keep the code if you're gonna keep the code?
Because I've just slashed off value of the money that I just spent on the game that I've done. Like it makes sense in my head here. Like,
can someone put in the comments of just like making sense of this?
I think it makes perfect logical sense at this point. Like I basically like cashed in like $10 or something because someone is desperate to get this code because they didn't buy it. Like, cool. I'm not scamming them. I'm like, here you go.
I understand you're not scamming them. I feel like you're scamming yourself.
No, because I'm making a fair bit of money there. Buy it back at like half a fraction of price. I made a bit of profit off it. Sweet.
I guess like it's the morning for me. Maybe I'm not thinking of this right. I'm probably not thinking of this right. But like I feel like I feel like you're making like £3 from this.
No, oh no, people used to spend loads of them. Like I remember selling one.
Okay,
of
so like
50
yeah, like show me the money. So like, how much were you selling them for?
I would put it up for like a listing of like maybe £5 or something on eBay.
Okay,
and then it would sell on for like £15.
Okay,
£10-15, and then depending on it, like I think maybe the Gears of War ones were limited edition. They did like keep market value. I don't buy it back, so I'm like whatever. I don't really care about it. But it's like if they do fall and no one cares about it, then I can buy it back for like £5 when the market drops because people are like, okay, I don't want to buy these anymore. It's hot on the market, just like at release date where people are like desperate to get things because they have that endorphin rush. So it's like that. Then a couple of months later, if I'm still playing the game, cool, I'll like stick with it. So in the Gears of War case, I went back and bought some of the like cheaper cosmetics for like very cheap price.
But so you had the cosmetics.
Yeah, but why would I when I can make money?
But like, if your intention is to buy back the why not just keep the cosmetics?
Because I basically made a £10 profit there, and whilst I was making my Starbucks, and you can't get the logic.
But you said you're not trying to profit.
Well, it's more about offsetting the costs of it. So, for example, when they're giving that stuff for free, what's the point in even having it? Like if I'm not going to use it, for example, this outfit with Max and stuff,
but you were going to use it
later down the line. I'm fine with waiting. I'm trying to avoid FOMO territory here. Let's get that out of the way, if anything.
I guess.
Back on the point.
Yes.
Which Max are you dressing your way up? Oh, you're not getting the Ultimate Edition.
I'm not getting the $80 one. Maybe I'll buy it from you on eBay.
Potentially that could be a good way. Ooh,
no!
I could be like running the business on the side from like where Square Enix aren't seeing it. I'm like, yeah, like here are the outfit packs. It's like you get Max as a Moogle. Like here's the code. I'm still not decided about it, if anything. This also as well screams like the leaked rumor that we saw about Life is Strange Double Exposure, where it's like there was almost like a live service element and all these outfits and stuff is now seeming to be relegated to a paywall behind the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah.
I love Final Fantasy. I really enjoy it.
Did you already pre-order the $80 version?
No, I'm not, but I'm still staying here on FOMO. It's really annoying me at the minute because my daughter's saying do not buy it.
Okay, so I've already said that I'm not buying the $80 version. Like, where are you? Like, I'm solidified. I'm not getting the $80 one. Where are you?
I feel like I'm being stitched up here. That's what I feel like, if anything.
By me?
Like, no, not you. You have free will and choice out of this. No, I'm being stitched up by the publisher. I think it's a screaming cash grab money incentive.
It really is. The 2-week mark is the real stitch. Yeah.
And it's like in itself, like I wouldn't really want to buy it because like I'm not going to post that stuff on the social feeds and stuff because like I don't want to ruin it for anyone else who can't afford the game straight away. Like, you know, it's already bad enough that some people can't afford it. But it's like, and I'm not necessarily buying it because I was like, oh, I want to see if Chloe Price is in the game in the first 2 chapters. It's just more about the fact that I kind of want the game, if anything. But it's like the fact that they're releasing it ahead of time, and then you kind of feel like you're left out of the loop in terms of what's happening. That's it, and especially because it's a narrative game, it just feels like really, really quite shady, if anything. And I think that's my issue at the minute, where I'm sitting here thinking like I'm currently stuck on FOMO here. Not in the sense I kind of know what's going to happen. My belief is I kind of expect to know what's going to happen in the game.
Well, like that's the point, is that like the whole thing of like the 2 weeks before it, when you're saying like I feel like I'm stuck in FOMO, that's the marketing. Like that's exactly what their marketing is. They're not trying to market a good game. They're marketing FOMO with a two. You can get it 2 weeks before everybody else. You can get the outfit packs. You can have cat DLC. It is not good content. It is just FOMO content. That's all that it is. And that's what's like driving me nuts, you know?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Like, it's just cat DLC and like loads of cosmetics being charged at about $30 extra. And
yeah,
I just can't accept that. It's just it's the worst. It's the worst Ultimate Edition I've ever seen, personally speaking.
Yeah. It honestly is. Like, there's way less value than any other Ultimate Edition. Because like with the Assassin's Creed ones, like they are egregious. Like let's get that straight.
Yeah.
The Assassin's Creed Ultimate Editions are absolutely egregious. But at least they're trying to give you something. And like the whole 3 days early thing, 3 days early, I'm like, fine. 3 days early, fine. I bought the 3-day early pack for Forza Horizon 5. I love Forza Horizon, dude. Like, you give me that all day, every day. I will pay the $100 to play that game 2 weeks early. I don't care. But this game being 2 weeks early for $80, and it's just like, I feel something about this vibes with me as FOMO only and not real value. And I don't know what that vibe is, but it is,
I agree with you, because it's like when we talked about it very early on, where I said like FIFA makes sense because it's multiplayer, it's 3 days early, and like EA early access. Same with Ubisoft. Even if that is a narrative game, 3 days seems reasonable. I don't really want to defend Ubisoft, but I accept
me neither. Now,
like 48 hours early access, even like when the expansion stuff happened, 48 hours at a push, cool. But it just feels like it feels like crappy publisher behavior. It's like, let's try and do another incentive to get people to buy the game earlier or pre-order it. As if it's not already enough that they're doing with that, if anything, like commercializing the game and stuff. But it's just awful for 2 weeks for a narrative game.
So yeah, the Ultimate Edition for Assassin's Creed Shadows is $130, dude. Holy hell. Forgot.
Who even has the money in this climate? Like, honestly, I can't be dropping 100. I'm not dropping 100. But when you said it to me, it's like, and I felt like quite bad as well about it when you said you weren't buying the Ultimate Edition, because I'm like, because you're here doing the podcast and stuff, I felt like it was almost like roping you in, being like, Adam, you need to kind of buy it because we're going to make content and da.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit like, you know what? And when you told me, I'm like, I'm not going to like tell you to buy it. Like, that's just not fair, if anything. And I don't like the fact that this is basically for, like, I don't care about the cat content. I don't really care about the DLCs. I care more about just playing the game, if anything. But it's basically being locked behind that $30 paywall, like as an early kind of access to it.
It's more for me. It's just like, I don't want to award Square.
Yeah.
And it's not even, and again, I want to say this from the top of my lungs. Like, it's not about me punishing Deck 9. I don't want to award Square Enix for this. This is absolutely a publisher decision. And it's just like, I hate that. I hate giving them $30 more for this kind of bull. I don't want to award that behavior.
And do you know what? Speaking of which, Adam, should we just move into the next topic, because it seems to be overlining into this?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's very fitting way. So, like, let's go to Eurogamer here. It's very much a very relevant story. It kind of tells you why we have felt the way that we have done and said things. Because very much clear, as Adam said, I like Deck 9. I like the stories that they tell in certain ways, and it's more about the publisher, which is what the story is about, which is Square Enix's sales drop year on year despite release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I've played, by the way, as well. So let me just read the story out here from Ed Nightingale from Eurogamer. Says, sales of Square Enix games have dropped compared to last year, despite the high-profile release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. According to its latest earnings report, the company's overall net sales dropped by 18.4% year-on-year for the most recent quarter. This is driven in part due to a decline in sales of new games. By comparison, the same quarter of 2023 saw the release of Final Fantasy XVI and Final Fantasy Pixel remasters. However, the company has still turned profit with its games this year on lower development costs, amortization, and advertising expenses. Very relevant to Lifeis2-D. We'll come back to that in a minute. What's more, its MMO sub-segment saw a rise in sale and profit compared to last year. This latest quarter does not include the July release of Final Fantasy XIV expansion Dawn Trail, though clearly interest has risen ahead of its release. Expect a considerable boost to profits in its next quarterly results. Mobile games, meanwhile, have also seen sales declines due to, quote unquote, due to a weakness of existing titles, end quote, presumably including last year's release of free-to-play gotcha game Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. However, profit profits have increased to quote unquote optimization of operational expenses, end quote. Overall, Square Enix is quote unquote continuing to determine efforts to strengthen the competitiveness and profitability, end quote, of its business. At the start of the year, company president Takeshi Kiryu announced a review of the company's development system to boost quality of profits. I believe we actually covered that. As part of this, the company's abandoned 112 million pounds of in-development projects that resulted in a loss for the previous financial year. It's now, quote unquote, aggressively pursuing, end quote, a multi-platform strategy. It's clear then Square Enix is in a reset phase, and its restructuring, has resulted in a profit despite disappointing sales in existing games. The company also laid off staff in its US and European offices as part of structural reforms, quote unquote, structural reforms. Sales of Final Fantasy Rebirth were not specifically included in financial report, though previously it was reported sales were, quote unquote, underperforming, end quote. So let's leave it at that. Adam, time and time again, we have talked about this. Time and time again, we've talked about this. This is also our main topic, and we'll kind of bleed into that more later on, if anything. This is very much red flags for people. This is why we kind of warn people repeatedly. This is why Adam has said, among many other reasons, why double exposures kind of left him on the fence, / also not really that overly blown away from it. It's probably why it's left me on the fence, if anything's kind of put my position on it, because this screams publisher worries, concerns, kind of in itself that line as well, as it said, how have the company still turned profit on its games? Cost amortizations and advertising expenses. Look at what, for example, we've learned about the budget, where it was that IGN article saying that Final Fantasy is being basically lowballed to the lowest bidder. It seems like development issues have happened in terms of from Deck 9 and Square Enix's side of resources. Adam, I imagine you're not very surprised by seeing where Square Enix is currently at in terms of its financials.
Well, it's just I feel like their financials are fine. It's just they've been famous for over a decade at this point to be just yeah, they release a game and we get the cycle of excitement for the game, release the game. Game, it hasn't turned the profits that we want to. Go on to the next game, release the game. We don't like the profits that this game is doing. Every time Square puts out a game, it's oh, we're disappointed by it. What's the margin? We never know the margins. We never know the expectations. And I feel now this is going to be a hot take here. I feel like it's only, not really a hot take, but I feel like it's only the Western Squares that are really disappointed. The Japanese market is always just they are looking for profits, but they look for solutions from the inside. But we only hear bad things from the U.S. and the European Square Enix. Even this the article that came out about Deck 9 and how we should be canceling Deck 9, but they said they've been bullied by which Square Enix? UK
London's,
Square Enix. Yeah, London's. But that's the thing, a Western market. So I feel like the Japanese headquarters is actually looking for real solutions, but the US and the European are the ones that we really blame. And I feel because Deck 9 is a Western division of Square, right? I don't even think that Deck 9 even counts as a division of Square Enix, but let's put in the argument's sake. It is a Western division of Square. That's why we're seeing these publisher decisions. That's why we're seeing this bull crap coming up, So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that their financials are the way they are, because that's all we ever hear from Square. That's the only thing we hear from Square, and it's just annoying at this point. It's just oh, we're not turning a profit. Then how are you still a company? You've been doing this for a decade. How are you still a company? How are you still in business? It's just frustrating to hear it all the time,
It is from me. This is so ironic as well to see very negative news from a negative publisher. Because even in StrangeCast, we'll bring hot negative takes, but also tries to offset it with balance. We don't want to bum people out when you're listening to this, but this publisher is on this. I think this is almost Capcom predating during the Resident Evil success that they've had.
Yes,
it was constantly Resident Evil hasn't hit sales. It's prior to 7, it was they were really always, it was negative news with games and releases. And also as well, Adam, I think you made a great point about the fact that it is the Western studios, because remember, they sold off so many IPs to the Embracer Group because they were and they kept Life is Strange, remember? They kept Life is Strange being actually, maybe there's a bit more of a lucrative incentive here of trying to keep on top of it. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me. the Japanese market's so different though now as well. Like compared to when we were growing up, like in the early 2000s, like Japanese games were hot off the market in in Japan. Their sales have declined year and like have continued to decline in Japanese markets. Even for like not even them, it's just Capcom, Konami. Like Japanese gamers don't necessarily play like bog standard console games like Final Fantasy and stuff. They might even go to like mobile games sometimes. It's like the market has changed quite a lot in Japan, if anything. And I think like that's the issue that we currently have with like Square Enix is like they just can't seem to accept. Forspoken had a reported $100 million budget.
I keep forgetting that game is a Square Enix game, dude.
And I'm the one who keeps reminding people. I was speaking to someone on Twitter, I won't say who it was. They were asking about development costs, for example, on like Life is Strange games. They're not really known, barring the first game. So Oscar Gobert said the first game, pre-production of Life is Strange, cost €4 million. And that's probably maybe even if we're not counting the marketing and stuff or whatever else. €4 million.
That's including marketing?
That we don't know. I can't remember the date of the article. He said like it's about €4 million was like the production, like the pre-production cost of Life is Strange. I would say put the budget about $4 to $6 million. To be fair, if anything, maybe like in 5 million. Let's call it 5 million in the middle. 5 million, and obviously you can see what happened to Square when this old Life is Strange had unbelievable success. It sold over 1 million copies, for example. The revenue's already been brought back in. I don't need to be like a mathematician to kind of figure out where like things start to go from that position, if anything. But 4 million, and then you fast forward, that was 2015, Adam, 2015. Fast forward to Forspoken's release date, which is only like 4 or 5, 6 years later. Bang, 100, different genre, different game, but 100 million. It's like Disney levels of money being thrown around on a game which is never going to make that return. And then you kind of see it again with like this kind of game where you just spoken about Square Enix's staff in like London bullying Deck 9 developers, etc. And Deck 9 is basically just a contractor that is working with Square Enix. It just screams like so many issues. I'm like, I can't believe it. I sometimes sit there thinking like, unless it's you I'm talking to, it feels like I'm just shouting into echo chamber. I'm like, can you not see the writing is on the wall here? It's so clear what happened. Because again, until someone can argue to me otherwise, Max Caulfield still doesn't feel like the protagonist of this game, because you can take it out of the game and the game would still work.
I don't want to say that until I actually play the game, because like we've only seen the marketing. But yes, like for what we've seen, I 100% agree with you. We just can't 100% confirm it until we actually play the game 2 weeks early. The psych, I'm buying the $80 version. No, I'm not.
I'm letting you put yourself out on a limb. That I'm going out on a limb there. I'm off, even just off my own theory and belief as well. I don't think she's the main character of the game, because like you can pull her out of the game. Like it's just too difficult to like imagine like you play all your games that you've played in your life and you take out the main character. Does it work? Can you remove Max from the first game? No, it doesn't work. If you remove Sean, it doesn't work, because they're so central to the story of it. This one still again has that Alex Chen fight, but again, different conversation for another time. Yeah, Square's thing doesn't surprise me, but also as well, it's a concern when it's Final Fantasy related to it. And we've heard news about this recent Final Fantasy VII game, which I played. It was great. It's taken years to come out. I think it's like maybe 5 years since the first remake that they did. And it's like, I can see why the budget's ridiculous. But then it's like marketing. People are like, is this a new game? Is this something else? It's like, how do I play this in the timeline? It's so hard to sell games to people.
It's so frustrating to see, just like any big company. This is the last point I make, and then maybe like move on. But like, it's so frustrating from companies that like the more money you throw at something, the better it's going to be. I mean, we look at a great example, Godzilla -1, $15 million budget, $15 million on a movie budget in post pandemic. That's a nothing budget. Or even looking at, Stardew Valley took the world by storm. And it's just one guy. We don't know exactly how much money it took. I think it just took the amount of money that he needed to survive, pay himself.
Yeah.
But like a low budget game like Stardew Valley, and it's just like, or even Oxenfree, right? It's just like there's like special places for these games, but like they only focus on the high budget because they want high rewards. But most of the time, if you put in, it's just like investing. Buy low, sell high, like, I don't know, like these are businessmen. They should know basic business of, buy low, sell high. It's so frustrating to see like these high budget games coming out and just like they're always disappointing. They're always disappointing, dude. They're always disappointing. I don't know. That's the last thing I'll say.
And I'll add on to this before we move on as well. It's like when I said to you, I'm thinking about buying a Switch because I just want to play Nintendo games.
Yes,
I just want to play things.
Tell me.
I just want to play indie games. I just want to play like the Goose Detective game. I want to play.
Duck Detective.
Duck Detective. Sorry, Goose Detective. Duck Detective. I want to play Duck Detective. I want to play Lost Records. Lost Records doesn't have a budget of like 100 million. Like, does it? Hell, it probably has like a budget of like 3 to 5 million, if that. Don't know, it's a smaller company. It doesn't have financial muscles like Square Enix. And Oscar Gilbert is not chucking money at this, like going out of business. Because imagine, it's just ridiculous. This is why games aren't making returns anymore. This is why it doesn't surprise me when these like publishers like trimming like developers
they
and
buy low. They just buy high and sell low. It's so backwards.
And they don't think about the average consumer because you're not going to spend like I remember when I went past 18, I was buying like maybe 3 games a year, if that, because I was like, I actually have money finally after like, a tough struggle of like growing up. We didn't really buy new games. I used to play them pre-owned. I can now buy 3 games a year, like also like with a full-time wage. I buy like 1 game a year now, if that, most of the time, because I can basically just go into my secondhand store and buy like a plethora of catalog of games because it's not even like I'm spoiled out of choice here. Yeah. It's like there's so much content. Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said there. Right. Anyway, should we move on to our next topic?
Yeah, let's talk about the college campus of the game we're excited about.
Yeah. So actually, I'm going to take you on to screen sharing here again, Adam, because I've kind of nicely wrapped this up as well for the listeners as well. Again, you should follow us on Twitter if you don't, because I've done this quite nicely. I've got a thread here, Adam. So these were all the locations from the game. So obviously, yes. Caledon University is our location at campus for the main game of Double Exposure, Vermont, USA. So the locations that were revealed were the Fine Arts Building, which is the Fab. You have the Everett Observatory, which is where Moses happens. It's where the rooftop segment happens in the gameplay reveal trailer that we saw. You have Hellerton House, which is giving you a bit more context about Hannah Hellerton. A bit more backstory about that. It seems to be going to be alluding to that in the game. Then you have the Northern Quarter as well, which is the main area. You've seen the statue there of Thomas Caledon Jr. And then you also have the Snapping Turtle Bar, which is where we've seen Amanda, among many other people. So those are the 5 locations shared from there. I'm going to quickly end the screen sharing here so we can go back to full screen. Yeah, so we're back on full screen here. Those were all shared, and then obviously the full footage was shown, like little breakthrough, and then obviously a little cryptic tease where it's like, ooh, what could possibly go wrong at the end of this? And there's like stacky images, all these like nightmarish sequences. Do you want me to go first? Do you want to go first?
I'll.
Do you want to be negative more?
I'll piggyback off you. Yeah. Because I think we're going to have the same thoughts here.
So I think it's an improvement on what they've shown in True Colors in terms of like the L-shaped town.
Yes. I was thinking the same thing.
So I think it's an improvement of Arcadia Bay, not Arcadia Bay, of Haven Springs. However, when I mentioned Arcadia Bay, it does seem to allude to Arcadia Bay in senses of its like fixed locations. So it's very much, again, like the first Life is Strange, and it's doing that. I'm going to put that on focus there. Yeah, so you got basically fixed locations that you can go search for, which will be the main hubs, so it's centralized a bit more. And it's very much shades of Arcadia Bay. And then even when we got to the end, and it's like, oh, nothing could possibly go wrong. We hear this voice again and again and again, and it goes to a very much staticky image with all these like cuts. I was like, is this the first Life is Strange again? Is this like copying the first kind of thing with the nightmarish sequence? Is this going to be chapter 5 where we have another nightmare sequence? I'm a bit like, I again, like my expectations are very different. Someone has asked me about this. They said, you seem more excited for Lost Records than Life is Strange. I'm like, yes and no, because my expectations are set here. So it's like, even when Adam before called me out a minute ago about Max Caulfield not being the protagonist, my expectations are here because I've set them there. So I'm very content with what I've seen so far.
Yes.
And I'm like, again, and if Max is the main character and they prove me wrong, fair play. You're not going to be able to clip it up and be like, well, you were like this. I'm expecting something like that. If that's something that happens, amazing. I've been proven wrong, but no. In the sense of what I've seen, the location looks nice. I think they've done a great job. I think this is where Deck 9 deserves a lot of credit in terms of the environments they create. I do think they create some great environments. It does look visually great to see as well. But But
But
is there going to be more substance in this? And we've spoken about this on the Lost Records journals. Adam has spoken about, can you do what Michelle Coe does in terms of like creating a vibrant town like Velvet Cove or Arcadia Bay? Will it create a memorable setting? That is the big question.
Mm-hmm. No, that's exactly it is. It's like, because Michelle Coe is very good at like making the setting the character. Like, he's very good at that. He knows what to do in building an environment and making the environment a character. You can't just copy and paste of what Michelle Coe does and make it work. You know, it's the same way of like I would say that out of all my friend group, I would say you're the biggest Kojima fan. But like, I would say like you understand Kojima's style, you understand Kojima's mind. But if I asked you to make a Kojima game, like let's say you know how to make a game, right? Let's say you knew like all the dynamics, right? And I said, okay, make a Kojima game. It would come off as a Kojima copy. Like, it would come off as Walmart Kojima. No matter how much you put into it, the knowledge you have.
I'll take Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's exactly like Metal Gear Survive. You know, they're trying to be Kojima, but like I'm sure you can attest this. You know, probably playing Konami games since Kojima left. You know, they're trying so hard and it doesn't hit the mark. I feel like we're gonna hit the same problem. Like this Caledon is kind of feeling the same way of Blackwell, and we're gonna see. Now, we don't blame them for doing this because the name is Life is Strange. They have to do style, right? It's kind of like saying like, yeah, I'm coming out as a rap artist, and it's like, oh well, it sounds like he's doing hip hop beats, and like, yeah, because that's the name of the genre. It's hip hop. In the same way of here, it's like, yeah, they're going to do a Life is Strange like game because it's a Life is Strange game. So I don't blame them on that point. So what do you have to say about that, Mr. Kojima?
Konami, Mr. Kojima. I think you've hit the nail on the head, which is that I think I don't think Michel would consider himself an auteur, but I think Michel is an auteur. I think like even Kojima is an auteur. I think people get quite fed up with that term because it's very like film-esque, and then it also doesn't give recognition to developers, like a lot of the developers. So it's like, I've always said this with Kojima. Kojima is an auteur, though. He's got obviously a very fantastic development team underneath him. People do know Yoji Shinkawa. They know the other people that work under him as well, like some of the more memorable figures as well. And that's not taken away from other people. But again, it's more about he's a signature head of that game. It's the same with Life is Strange 1 and 2 and even Lost Records. That is Michel Coe as an auteur, because you can kind of see his style, you can see his direction. And as you said, for example, if I asked you to make a Michel Coe game, it's going to be like a Target copy of Lost Records.
Yeah, exactly.
Throwing shade.
Thanks for recognizing my color of my skin, that I would go Target.
For sure.
White Girl Center.
Exactly, but like that's the kind of expectation, because it's like you can't create those things because they are very different visionaries and products. So again, I agree with what you're saying, where it's like I kind of see where they're going for an Arcadia Bay like style game, because they are going to the roots of the franchise, as you would call it, and we'll come on to that later when I'm going to talk about the DNA thing. But yeah, I can see what they're doing with that. And again, I think at least if anything, I'll give them kudos to this, where I think when I've made the argument about Max not being the main character, I think Caledon is the main environment of this story, because they are saying it's a supernatural murder mystery game, and the location is strategically important to that, as much as Haven Bay was central to the Typhon story. Like, that was very kind of grounded in the sense that at least I can't make that argument where it feels like the location fits within the overall story, if anything. But overall, though, I'm kind of just sitting there. I was watching it. I thought I will give, as I said, I will give credit to the art development team. I thought it looked very nice. It looked really it looked very homey. I just hope it's a bit more a filling kind of experience compared to Haven Spring, where actually I am proven wrong and it actually brings a vibrant environment to life, and it's very central to that. But again, let's wait and see about it, because like I saw all those like nightmarish sequence, the staticky parts, the journals, the kind of references to Max's past and stuff. I don't think the marketing. We'll come on to the market again. We'll talk about that because it's a topic in itself. Adam, next piece of news.
Yes, let's. The next couple pieces of news we can like breeze right through. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last two are quite small, if anything, anyway. But let's go with this one. So this was a Deck 9 developer had responded to the concerns about Max and Chloe, among many other things in double exposure. So this is Andres Ortiz Suarez, who's a lead programmer at Deck 9. And they responded to one user, which was, they put, I will always share your words and fight for this, y'all. For you all, and I encourage you all to continue speaking up about it. Your voices and passions are a large part of what keeps Life is Strange going. Square is listening. Keep speaking passionately and civilly like this too. And this was in reference to the person saying, because ultimately Max and Chloe mean so much to many of us, we're afraid that made them special will either be taken away or even ruined by other attempts at having them be in a new game. I do really hope you get us and that we could discuss somewhere else about this. Let me just quickly run for these other ones. So this was, again, Andres Ortiz Suarez talking about Life is Strange fans, relaying Life is Strange fans' feelings to Square Enix. Someone said, maybe you can't answer, but I hope at least you can tell Square how we're feeling. Andres responded saying, I completely understand and I appreciate that. I can't speak about anything that hasn't been shown, but I assure you your voices carry weight and we're bringing up these discussions and more. Another one, which is Andres talking to someone here, which was, I'm trying not to mention who these people are by name, by the way. But being very honest here, I'm going to get the game on launch day, but I confess that the marketing has worried me, and I believe you already know the reasons. Anyway, thank you for the words; it mean a lot. And Andres responded saying, "I understand your fears completely. No offense taken. While we're limited in what we can and can't do, trust me when I say most of the team is always fighting." Is always in your corner and fighting for the good fights of the fans. Life is Strange wouldn't be what it is without y'all. We hear and see you always. Last one here quickly as well, Adam as well. Andres calmed people down with fans. He put a reassuring message out saying, girls, ladies, honeys, someone has been feeding you nonsense. Please wait for the game. We would never do you wrong with that. And that was referring to someone saying, stop your quote unquote putting quote unquote stop this, you morally evil lesbians, with like a fingers up and saying Deck 9 probably. Adam,
I hate this. I hate this. And again, like, okay, so I'm always going to be on the side of Deck 9. Like, yes, I do agree with Lifeis2-D that, you know, they keep sharing the article that there have been, you know, Nazi propaganda, you know, in the game assets. That's not to say that, like, that's the entire company. Like, I work in restaurants. Do you know how many ex-convicts and, like, creepy people work in restaurants? That doesn't mean that I'm a creepy person. But I'm always creepy to you, though. Don't worry about that. But yeah, it's to say that, like, there are some really good people at Deck 9. We've interviewed them on the show. We like, there's so many, like, good, talented people over there. What I hate about this is where Andres is saying, like, your voices carry weight. I'm not trying to say Andres. I'm not trying to say that. He's the messenger here.
Yeah.
But Square, we have been saying for years, we want Max. What's that?
It's a broken record, this, isn't it?
Yeah, dude, we've been saying for years, this is what we want. This is what we want. And then he's like saying, like, keep saying your voices. Ooh, it's gonna get to Square eventually. 10 years later, that's when it's gonna get to Square. 10 years. So I gotta keep saying to Square, right, over and over again. Hey, man, what's another Square IP that I want?
Forspoken.
I want more Forspoken. We'll get Forspoken too in 10 years. I don't know, but, like, so it'll be the same way. So, like, going back to Ubisoft, like, we're begging for a remake of the first Assassin's Creed game. That's all. I want a remake of the first Assassin's Creed. And it's like, how about a remake of the fourth game? I'm appreciative of that. Thank you, Ubisoft, for the little breadcrumbs of the original game. That's what needs to remake. Anyway, ending my rant here, but, like, I hate how there has to be somebody to say that, like, yeah, keep Keep saying it to Square. Keep on saying it to Square. Oh, don't get it wrong. Chloe might be in the game. You just got to keep on praying to the Lord Overseers over at Square. I hate this. I hate that. I hate how stupid Square Enix is. They're so dumb. they're bafflingly stupid, and it's just like we've gotten like reports about this. How offset. I mean. I feel like everybody that's talked about Square is a lot like when Reggie left GameStop, and he famously said he left GameStop because he's like, none of these people understand video games. I don't think Square Enix understands video games, or they understand their market. So yeah,
if not both as well, they are just a business at the end of the day. They're not necessarily like.
But they're a bad business. They suck at business. They suck at everything. Do they know how to pee into a toilet, or they just like go spurting everywhere? Like I don't know.
It's a telling sign. It's a telling sign.
I want to see their bathrooms. I want to see how nasty they are.
I agree with you because, like, at the end of the day as well, and I've said this repeatedly, because like Deck 9 take a lot of flack from these people, like online and whatever else are. Deck 9 has no control of the IP. It has no control of if Square Enix came up to them and said, "We want this story," you do it. You have no control. This is why every other conversation I start with people, I always refer to Square Enix as a starting point, because it is Square Enix that's ultimately doing this. Whether you are excited for Max and Chloe, like whether you want to see Max and Chloe, ultimately this could be Square Enix's decision at the end of the day. They might write Chloe out the entire story. Mm-hmm. That is a real possibility you need to accept as well, because as I've said before, I think that the signs are quite on the wall where I think that they're going, personally speaking. I don't sit down on Twitter, for example, and this is a difference as well between me and other people, and me and you and other people. We, for example, talked about Felice Khan in the other episode when we talked about, when you were saying, like, is Felice Khan really like a Hideo Kojima? Is she really like a Michelle Coe? Can she really tell those kind of stories? The difference is that we were talking about in a passive, constructive conversation, discussion, but instead it wasn't Adam like poking at Felice on Twitter, being like, "You're not a good writer. You're not this." Like, it wasn't like aggressively going after this person. We were critiquing in a conversation. That's why it's more civilized and stuff. But when people are screaming up and down on Twitter saying, "Where's Deck 9 not doing this?" Deck 9 has no control over the marketing. It has no control over anything like this. It is basically just making the game, and it's going to do it in the vision of what Square Enix is doing. Square Enix has so much control of this IP, you do not realize it, because ultimately it is the publisher. We said this time and time again. You're going to have to deal with what's going to happen from it. Your opinions will be relayed to them. I agree with what Andres is saying. I think he's taken the very diplomatic, easy route here in terms of saying what needs to be said. Your opinions will matter. They've done surveys, etc. However, ultimately, it's their decision. They're probably going to make financially motivated decisions, if anything. So I think ultimately that is the main thing you need to remember here. It's not ultimately your decision that's going to matter at the end of the day. Adam, anything else to add?
I'm looking through all the Square Enix games to see what I should beg them for.
I wanted Sleeping Dogs before they sold it. They sold that them, which is a goddamn shame.
Moving on.
Right. Should we go into other pieces?
Give me Sleeping Dogs 2 Square. Can I? My voices are high. Give me Sleeping Dogs 2. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay. Let's go into our next piece of news, if anything, and it's change of direction as well, because we'll combine these two pieces of news as well.
Yes.
So we got a brand new look at the Blue Spruce in Lost Records, which is really quite cool. But then also that was very quickly overshadowed by none other than news that Don't Know Montreal, Lost Records Bloomer Age is going to be at Gamescom. They are at Gamescom. Yeah. They're showing gameplay trailer. They're showing gameplay.
They're going to announce that I'm in the game. I'm going to be the guy that says, "Hi, everybody, it's me, 90s Adam. I'm a little baby boy."
Potentially. That would be a good reference if you are actually in this game and you didn't tell me all this time. It'll be blowing my mind
the
a little
whole time. Yeah.
The entire time. So we have a confirmation that Lost Records is there. The Don't Know Montreal team is there as well. It is breaking my heart a little bit as well that they are there and I am not there. As I've told Adam, I'm actually going to quickly show this on here. Here I am, Adam again, doing a bit of copium. I'm actually copium as well, because Luke replied here. Broke my heart here. Broke my heart. I was so close to flying out. And then this broke my heart again. I was like, they're all there. It's like every developer is there. And then here I am crying. I'm going to play this as well so you can see it. There I am.
Yeah, just crying. Coping. Yeah, you're just coping into the mugs. No, that's the thing. It's just like, you are closer to Germany than I am. But like again, like for me to say like you're closer, that would be like, oh, there's an event in Mexico. Oh, Adam, you can go. It's just like it's not as easy for me to just like get a flight to Mexico. Yeah, no, I get you, dude. Like honestly, I was telling you off camera that like I wanted to go to Long Island Retro, but it's like like the flight costs are just insane. Like I think it cost me like for a round trip to Long Island, it would be $900. And I'm just like, I don't want to go that bad.
Honestly, like I would go. Like it was Hannah Telle this month. It was like Gamescom this month. If my holidays weren't working the way that they did, I would 100% go to these events. It's just literally smack banged in probably the worst month possible for me to even try and travel and commute. Because I would probably get an emergency flight to Gamescom to go and see this game in person, to see them in person. And it's like breaking my heart here a bit. Like I can't go to it, but it's very exciting nonetheless. Obviously, I think Adam actually as well, when this is revealed, the weekend that it's revealed, we'll be recording the Lost Records Journal. So quite conveniently.
Oh, buddy, I'm just looking at flights for you to go. It's only for a round trip. It's only going to be $350. You can do that. $350. Honestly, like I'm actually surprised it's that low. I was expecting like $500.
No, I think it's only Germany, isn't it? It's not as like
Plus, it's only an hour and a half flight, so like, but it's still just like one of those things. Like it's not even just the money; it's about like taking the time out.
Yeah, taking the time out, the hotels, getting the tickets to Gamescom. It's like, oh, I wish I could go. It's just like inconvenient timing for that, but. Yeah, it's going to be at Gamescom. It's very exciting. As I said, Adam, we're going to be recording Lost Records Journal on that weekend, which is after the reveal has happened. So do stay tuned for that. That'll be the first post, Lost Records Journal episode about that, when it'll probably focus heavily on it. I'm very excited. I think we've spoken repeatedly about being very excited. I'm intrigued about how much gameplay we see as well and how long. Just early predictions. Do you think it's going to be like a couple of minutes? It's going to be like a 10, 15-minute showcase of like them showing the gameplay? Do you see Michelle being on the stage with like Kathy, like walking through the game of like a certain sequence?
5-minute gameplay. 5-minute gameplay followed by a release date.
Really? You think they're going to have a release date? Oh,
I think they're going to have a release date. I think they're going to bite back, and I think we're going to get a February release date.
That is interesting. Not January on 10 years of Life is Strange.
That would be wild. That would be like a really like good like kick in the teeth to Square. Like you misstepped, like you could have released this on the 10-year when the game is set in winter. You could have had it in 10-year, but you decided to be stupid and step on our toes. But we're going to step on your toes. 10-year anniversary of Life is Strange. I think it's going to be a February release date. I really do think so, because the game was set to be this year, so it's going to be done. And I think they just needed a little bit of time. I think it's being a February release date. But yeah, I think gameplay with release date.
I like that. I think, like, if anything, what is shown is that the fact that Gamescom was going to be the precursor to the release date, which is going to be October. I think October was probably the natural release date from this game, just like assumption-wise. It seems like we're going to show you gameplay and Lost Records is coming out in October. That's what I think we kind of got from it. I think 5 minutes is a good one. I'm just going to be devil's advocate and go with 10 minutes. I think it's going to be like a 10-minute walkthrough of what you're going to see. I think it'll probably be Michelle and Luke on a stage or something, maybe with the Dorito Hope potentially, walking through something, maybe, or even Kathy. I think it'll be a variation of the developers. I know that they're speaking to the press there. I don't know why you guys don't come on here. We are the press as well.
I've
always been here.
I press a lot of things. I do the press.
Yeah. Well, I know that Luke is back in France now as well. So Luke is already in France ahead of going to Germany as well. And I imagine he's going to get a plane there. If he is on the plane, he's sitting next to Marin. He should like unplug the headphones when I'm talking here and be like, Marin, you should come on here. The Lost Records Journal is a very good platform to talk. You should come on here as well. You should easily come on here. We'd love to hear from a brand manager's perspective of building this game and like selling it to people. So I think 10 minutes. I would agree with the release date as well.
Yeah.
I've seen some people say January, which I think is quite there. I think very early on in that quarter. I would say either February or March. I'm probably going to go with. The game seems to be on its verge of being done. It seems to be on the right tracks. I'll say February as well. I think early February.
I'm calling the pocket here. I'm calling the pocket February 25th.
February 25th, eh?
I'm calling my pocket. So I'm not even just calling like my shot. I'm calling the pocket. Corner pocket. Yeah, February 25th.
Tell me the Friday. Is it usually Fridays that games come out?
Games used to come out on Tuesdays, which is why I said
Tuesday.
25th. But if we're gonna say a Friday, let's say Friday date. I'm gonna say February 21st.
I'm gonna take the week before it.
So February 14th, it's gonna come out on Valentine's Day.
Oh, that could be a very fitting theme for this game as well.
Well, that's what they did for Banishers. They put it out on Valentine's Day weekend because they were lovers, which I still stand by it. Like, the more I sleep on Banishers, the more I'm like, dude, people need to play Banishers, dude. And more people are talking about it. Like, I heard it on Kind of Funny. I heard Maddie talking about it. Banishers, if you haven't played it yet, the more I sleep on it, dude. Like, Banishers was a good game, dude. It was a great game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think those are the signs that it's getting good for Don't Know, if anything. Where it's going to be like those are the kind of games that eventually they're going to have a breakthrough with like a massive hit, more so than Vampire, like a bigger hit.
Yeah, they're close. Yeah, they're very close.
Yeah, I agree with you. Say they're very close. So like, let's we'll leave it here because if anything, as I said, Lost Records Journal is dedicated to stuff like this. The first episode will be post this as well, so do stay tuned for that because we'll definitely go very deep dive into it. Adam, I know we've got two last pieces of news. Let's wrap these up very quickly, and then we'll go into the main topic.
Very quickly. These ones, I'm like, yeah.
So we got Dr Martens collaborating with Lifeis2-D. We've seen like a little clip there. I know people are raising their eyebrows. I know Adam's raising his eyebrows as well there. And
they're really marketing to the white women here. They are so marketing to the white women, dude. Dr Martens, come on, man.
Also, as well, they're not even branded. They're not even got like Lifeis2-D, like like things on them. They're not even. They're just a pair of boots. They're not even got like a cross collaboration where it's like marked or something, suggesting that you buying that. It's £170 boots that are just in that color.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, right. In itself, I will say one thing, just for a defense of one thing, which I think is good, if anything, is that if you're a cosplayer, at least you know what boots to buy. That you want to be a max cosplayer.
They probably already have a pair of Doc Martens. Like, my wife has
If you're a max cosplayer, I'm saying that's probably good for you, if anything. I'm not defending it.
Dude, they know their market at least. Good God.
And Square, if you want to send me a pair, I'll take them because I'd very much dress up as a white woman, if anything. Like, I'm fine with that. So please send me some. Don't send him any. He's slating you. I'm on your good side.
Doc Martens are dumb.
Anyway. That's that one piece of news. I'm not going to give it too much spotlight because it's ridiculous and people have already kind of expressed the cash grab incentive behind it.
Yeah, it's such a cash grab.
And it's poor as well. It's not even like a good execution. It's not like Assassin's Creed crossing over into MGS4. It's not very done well. And then the last one, I think, which is quite nice and well, our reveal of Amanda. It's played by Samantha Bowling, the actor. Very much on Instagram, put "It's me, hi, it's Amanda. I'm Amanda, it's me." Very much Taylor Swift-esque there. Yes. I think she's really funny. She seems cool, so I thought we'd give a little bit of a shout out to her as well. So that is recognition that we know Amanda's actor, if anything. Adam, main piece of news.
Yes, let's do it. She looked familiar, so I was like looking up her IMDb. But I don't think. Funny enough,
there's two Samantha Bowlings.
Oh, really? Yeah, you're right.
Two of them.
Yeah, one of them is from Michigan. Funny enough. But congratulations, Samantha.
Yeah, congratulations, Samantha. So let's go into our main topic. This is going to be talking about the marketing, as we kind of alluded to before. It's also about the London event that happened with Hannah Telle. I did not go to the London event. I saw some accounts from people there. We're just going to read through them and then also talk about the general marketing, because I've said to Adam off podcast, I think this is a giant red flag at the minute, just personally speaking. So just a quick first post. This was from a Reddit user from LG Glenn, and they talked about being at the event. This was from Reddit. They spoke about this. They said, Chloe was only mentioned by name once near the start of the talk as quote unquote Max and Chloe, when Hannah spoke about how she was excited to continue Max's story. Now, I'm sure Hannah is under all sorts of NDAs and is potentially given notes on what she's allowed to talk about, etc. So this all has to be taken with a grain of salt, because it's maybe just my own bias. But it did seem like she was trying to avoid any mention of her directly, as she was quick to move on from this. There were pictures of Chloe throughout the presentation, but no mention of as the protagonist of BTS, even though we were shown season 1 Max, double exposure Max, Alex, Sean, Jesus Christ, Love and Strange, she was getting a reference there, on character slides. And when given the option of a black or blue Sharpie to sign the art book, she did choose blue. I know Hannah has confirmed for years that she's a Price Field shipper, so it just feels a bit strange for Chloe to see to not see more mention, if that makes sense. There's another post underneath it which said that when asked during the Q&A whether she had input on Max's character whilst double exposure was in production, she answered, quote unquote, a little. She had already answered similar questions of how much improvement is involved in video game acting, to which she replied, quote unquote, 0, end quote, and everything has to be exact way, has to be exact, even down to where she delivers lines. Sorry, elaborating a little bit more on her answer to the original question, though, she did mention she was able to channel herself into Max this time with things like turning 30 that affect a person's outlook, that Max is more direct rather than being shy, down to the way that Max wears the rings is the same way Max wears hers. For me, the standout, that was a standout point. A lot of people in the community, including myself, have been theorizing Max is wearing Joyce's engagement ring in one or two timelines. Now, this is just more of a coincidence or not. I can't say, but there is evidence that she's not always wearing wearing rings in the footage we've already seen. There was another post quickly. I'll just say that basically Max, Hannah confirmed that she's re-auditioned for this role. Let me just quickly talk about that one, Adam, because we won't talk about it in the general conversation. The one about re-auditioning for mocap, that makes sense. We've talked about this before. Like Gonzalo Martin re-auditioned for Sean Diaz in the live-action trailer. It's not guaranteed to be given to him. I did Life After Strange interviews with Danielle Vivartas, who played Rachel Amber in mocap for Before the Storm. Did not get the facial capture for remastered version. Stace did that. We spoke to her on StrangeCast. You can go and watch that episode. It's not binary, and I think again that also comes down to performance capture. It's different from just VO acting. It's completely different. I imagine. I can't remember if Katie re-auditioned or not. Maybe that was a bit of a different story for True Colors, but there might have even been an expectation where they didn't think Hannah might come back for it because of it's been so much time. She has aged as well, so there might be one of those things where from Max, because they've aged her, they might want to go for a different actor. Who knows? But again, that doesn't surprise me, so I'm not going to really focus on that. However, Adam, the other pieces of news. Do you want to go first? Do you want to talk about it? Because this was in the overarching thing that we were talking about, the topic, which was the marketing. And like the way that things have happened here.
Yeah, so we're talking about the first two tweets that you brought up, yes. Where that's Hannah Telle chose the blue Sharpie instead of the black. Okay, I want to start with that one. That's a bit of a stretch to say that she's like that's Chloe. Hannah Telle is a very intelligent individual. She is. She's going for a PhD in neuroscience, if I'm correct.
She did it.
She did it. So she has her PhD in. She is too smart to be just like leaving hints to people. It's like, oh, let me choose the blue Sharpie because Chloe's in the game. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I think she just likes the color blue. So I don't think that means anything. In terms of her like saying like, oh yeah, like I had to deliver my lines exactly. I don't know. I think a lot of people might take this to be just like, oh man, Deck Nine is really like not understanding the character. I'm like, no, it's just directional styles. I mean, it's like for me, whenever I get voice acting clips for Cast of Garden, like any skits like that, I'm very lenient. I give them the lines and I allow like even Marcus, whenever I work with him, like he gives me suggestions of like how he wants to deliver, and I hear him deliver it, and like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, let's go for that. But there's some directors that are just like, nope, this is exactly how I want it. Keep it this way. It's just directional style. But those are the first points I wanted to give. What points did you want to give?
Yeah, so I agree with the direction thing where it's like she's not going to have that much input in terms of production because there's a reason why they have narrative teams. They have like narrative things. I imagine she probably has input in the motion capture because I presume Webb is the performance director, and Webb was very good in terms of like with other actors, like, doing things where they like, brought their own flavor to it, which is what would happen in those kind of performances. It's like when you start bringing the actors kind of input into it. In terms of like writing Max and development, it would make no sense, for example, Hannah to be there because she doesn't know what the overarching story is. She doesn't know where the narrative story is going to go. So that completely makes sense to me. The ring thing, for example, that again is people getting too excited and giddy for me. If anything, I think Adam again has said this again. I've said it, but my expectations are tempered. This is why I'm not getting overly excited because the rings can be anything. It could be a throwaway scene of like, here's Chloe giving it to Max. Oh, here's a reference for Arcadia Bay. In that, you know, where it's respecting both endings, it's very easy of being like, oh, it's just a reference point. So again, I wasn't really jumping down that road. People are jumping down, like observing the rings and comparing them. It's too easy. It could be anything. It's like me giving my Bob Dylan shirt to Adam. It's not going to be a reference point of like in another timeline. Anything could be relating to that. He's not getting it, by the way, as well, because he insulted it before. But anyway.
I have all of Bob Dylan's vinyls anyway, like the original pressings.
Well, I'll be taking those in the other timeline, along with the Dart vinyl. But no, I think like that, again, doesn't surprise me. I think people are getting quite carried away with like, I think, again, just keep your head calm and you'll enjoy what you're going to see. And if by the time you get to the game and you don't like it, then that's fine. But as Adam said before, he even said to me, he's like, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say Max is not the main character because I haven't seen enough. I've done that personally speaking because I've put myself out on a limb there. But I think sometimes you do need to reel yourself in. So those points didn't surprise me, if anything. About the NDAs and stuff as well, that again doesn't surprise me because Hannah Telle has obviously been briefed. There were tons of Square reps there. I saw photos, I saw all the other things with it. They're going to be hovering over her. Imagine, for example, as well, guys, if I had turned up as well, because I've had misgivings with Square before in the past. Imagine if I had turned up. Do you really think they're going to let me walk up to Hannah and be like, hi, and start talking?
Exactly.
Because they're going to be like looking over like,
exactly.
I've dealt with PR before, guys, in journalism. I personally think PR is the worst thing to deal with. I honestly do not like dealing with PR because they just don't seem, they are exactly what Adam said about like Square Enix in terms of business. They cause more problems than they do solutions because it's easy to gauge engagement with people.
They're like recruiters at jobs.
Perfect. I think that's one of the most perfect comparisons you've ever made. And I've dealt with recruiters as well. Cold calling, whatever else. No. I don't really like dealing with PR. I think there's very few PRs which I've had very good experiences with, and because they've understood what the function of PR is. So in itself, that doesn't surprise me. She is under an NDA. That is also unsurprising. Square does NDAs with every project, so she knows what she's been briefed on. She's probably been informed about the event. They flew her out there. That's all quite clear. Again, you're putting too much stock on Chloe Price, and I've said this repeatedly to people. She might play a role in this game. I expect her to be in it. I think Adam expects her to be in this game. I think there's going to be a likelihood of it. Is she going to be a main character? I said no. I said this in the last episode to Adam. I was like, even the promotional material, she's only on one realistic front cover or something. That is Before the Storm. Even the comic covers, ignore that. She's not the main focal point. Max is the main focal point in the comics. They're not talking about it because I think it's a soft reboot. Even if you don't agree with me or not, Max is the future of the series. Max has always been the story of the game. I know people who despise Chloe Price, Chloe Price, as much as people who love Chloe Price. I know people who despise her guts. However, she is an extension to Max's story. Max is the main focal point. Emma Vicelli said this to me, Adam, actually. And I thought it was so true. I said to her, I was like, how do you manage all the main characters in the comics? I was like, there's so many. There's like Chloe, Rachel, all this. She was like, it didn't really bother me because my main focus was Max because this is Max's story. And I was like, actually, that's so crazy you just said that to me because it's the most logical, rational thing you could say. And yet there it is. It's like that's the logic of it. And this is, for example, the game. Max is the main story. They've already alluded to a love interest with Amanda. Again, I don't know how you're going to do these two endings because if Chloe Price does turn up in the game, I think her role is going to be very different from people. I don't think it's going to be what people think where it's shipping them together and they're very close and stuff. I don't see that really working. So on the Chloe Price thing, it doesn't surprise me. But ultimately, I'm saying this to Adam, no exclusive gameplay was shown during this event. Nothing exclusive was shown.
Which you were teasing
around with the Photography Foundation. Again, they're FOMO, isn't it? It's like FOMO has like settled in, and it's like what's the point here? It's like they didn't show it, so they've pulled it obviously from this event, if anything. However, my overarching argument I wanted to bring with the topic was the fact that the marketing for me has been dreadful. Because, for example, as well, you've flown Hannah Telle out from the United States to London. Why wouldn't you invite a UK publication there? Why wouldn't you invite future publications? Eurogamer, for example, Play One versus the World. There's like loads of people. You could easily brought these people there, built exposure on the Photography Foundation event, which is the Photography Foundation is a charity as well. And it's quite nice to like what they actually do as well, the work that they do on with helping people. But you could bring profile on it. You could bring exposés. People could do a 5-minute interview of Hannah from the press as well, just to get a bit of information out there. Luke and Michelle are out there in Germany, going to be doing press events. Of course, they're going to be out there. It's brand awareness. Does that not just scream a red flag to you? Where it's like you aren't getting people to interview them. I know Hannah has done an interview with Lucy Hale from Square Enix, like for the Reddit the AMA video that they're going to do, because they put a post out on Twitter saying, "Ask Hannah any question, and we'll do it as a video." So they've recorded that at like Square Enix's London-based studio, but nothing has been shown. No one has been on media rounds. Felice Khan has not been on a media round. The director of Life is Strange Double Exposure, Jonathan, has not been on a media round. No one is going out there. Does it not scream to you what's happening here? Because, for example, even with True Colors, they sent Felice Khan out, they sent Mallory Littleton, they sent Erica Mori, Katie Benz. They all did media rounds. They all did interviews with people. No one's doing a media round. Obviously, the allegations article is the first thing that will come up, and rightfully so, because that is the first thing that will be brought up. But they are doing everything internally marketing. That entire Square Enix piece about their financial revenues, cutting costs and marketing, cutting costs and this, they're just relying on the brand IP at this point. And it's clear to me. And this is the problem. This is the overarching issue. Everything conversation we've had about double exposure. Like, I feel like quite like, let down by like how they position things. Oh, here's the Dr Martens collaboration. Oh, here's the collector's box. Oh, here's the Ultimate Edition. You don't have to buy these, by the way, but they're doing it in a way where it's like it's FOMO incentivizing people to buy it and like splash out on things without any expectation of what they're going to get from it. And it's like, I feel so like, again, I just see nothing but like bad writing on the wall in terms of like there's so many negatives here. Not against Deck 9 either. I really like Deck 9 from things we talked about. We've spoken to developers, we've interviewed them. There's a lot of lovely people there. But like this event was like another red flag for me, because I'm like, you could easily have like made this a bigger event, but no. Apparently, that's like, for example, again, that's like Luke and Michelle going to Gamescom at Lost Records, and Marin's like, "You're not talking to the press."
Yeah,
and he's like,
yeah,
and it's like, Marin, maybe we should speak to the press for like Lost Records. No, we're not doing that. And it's like, hang on a minute, you're the brand manager. But however, it's complete opposite, because he's putting them in front of everyone. He's like, speak to this person, speak to this press, speak to that, because we need to get the Lost Records brand out there. This is just basically marketing driven off of Life is Strange's IP, if anything. And it's like, if Life is Strange does not hit expectations with this game, and again, if they don't appease the Price Field fans, they don't appease the Chloe Price fans, oh boy, it's going to be interesting to see the future of Life is Strange. It's going to be very interesting to see Life is Strange future.
Yeah, dude. Like you said, it is really evident that they're just relying on the Life is Strange IP. Like that's it. Like the whole 4 months of marketing. That's it. Like you announced the game, it's going to come out in 4 months. Like nobody who was outside of the Life is Strange community knew about the leaks of Double Exposure. So like if you didn't know about anything, you were just shocked. Like, oh my God, no, Life is Strange, it's coming out 4 months. They're just saying that like, hey, it's another Life is Strange game. It's Max. She had to re-audition, which is insane to me, dude. Like, the fact that like Hannah Telle is your marketing and she had to re-audition is just baffling to me, dude. You're just putting up Doc Martens, you're putting up cat content, and it's just like you're just relying. I feel like, okay, I'm saying this, it's demeaning to your market. It really is demeaning, to say that like you think of your audience as daft and thick enough to like actually buy into this, but they are. Like we're seeing it on Twitter, we're seeing it on Instagram, where just like these people are going nuts over it, and it's just like, dude, they know, and they've been begging for a Max game, and this is the Max game you're gonna give them, and it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just the marketing is just Life is Strange. The marketing is just Doc Martens. The marketing is just, and I guarantee this, I'm going to flip my lid if I see a Stanley Cup in this game, dude. If they put a Stanley in this game, I'm going to flip my lid, dude.
Is a Stanley Cup the red cup?
No. Stanley is like
Hang on.
yeah. Look up Stanley mug. You're thinking of a solo cup.
Oh,
bro! If they do the Stanleys in this, brother, like they're getting that close. The second I saw the Doc Martens that partnered with them, like I'm like, dude, the next step is going to put a Stanley in this, and it's just like you're just marketing to the basic women, and it's just like that's so insulting, dude. It's so insulting, man. Like it just tells me that you don't understand like the importance of Life is Strange. You're just thinking that it's just for people who can't think. You know, you're thinking that it's just for people who are NPCs, and it's just like it's disappointing that they don't understand the importance of Life is Strange. You know,
which coming towards the end for me, at least my argument as well. I kind of alluded to before. Life is Strange DNA. They've said that repeatedly in all that in the videos as well. It's like we're keeping close to Life is Strange. What DNA?
Yeah,
it's like when people, because I remember watching when Resident Evil 7
Mystery
came
is
out.
not part of that DNA.
No, it's not, because it's like, do you when Resident Evil 7 came out? People did this like doing like big essay videos. I enjoyed watching because I love 7. Go back to it. I play it I think it's fantastic. But people it's going back to its roots, Resident Evil. It's going back to its I'm like, what? I'm like, RE7 is not going back to its roots. And double exposure is not Life is Strange. What is Life is Strange DNA? Because if I spoke to Jean-Luc, or I spoke to Michelle, or I spoke to Webb, or I spoke to Chris Floyd, like different directors, writers who on Life is Strange, they would tell me very different things of what they define as the Life is Strange DNA. And it's when Square Enix is saying Life is Strange DNA, I'm like, what's about this? Because you just basically explained there, for example, with like Doc Martens and Max Caulfield. Do you relate to Max Caulfield? No?
Now? No, not anymore.
But that was the entire point of Max Caulfield in the first game. You
Doc Martens. And like I feel like let's go to like how you connected with Max, because like you even connected with Max in the first game because it kind of it didn't say it, but it alluded to the fact that Max was, on the spectrum, know, and you saw that like the way she walked, the way she put on her headphones, like it was those subtle things that like I didn't necessarily picked up on, but you connected with it in that way. It's so subtle details that Michelle Coe put into Max that like didn't confirm, but just like, hey, we're gonna connect with you. You know what this Max is connecting with? The same women that I like bump into in Target. And when I say bump, it's because they don't have the spatial awareness to not bump into another human being, because we all live in your universe, apparently. I'm just breathing your air. Thank you, like Brittany or whatever your name is.
The most American name as well.
And it's just it's the white guys too. It's just like the most basic generic people. And that's what this Max is like marketing to, the most basic generic person, whereas the original Max was not really a marketing ploy. It was just Max was a character. Vessel. Yeah, it was a character. It was a vessel of somebody who was misunderstood, that was trying to figure out who they were, and little subtle details to people who are on the spectrum. Now this Max is wearing a beanie with little rings on their fingers and Doc Martens, and soon to be a Stanley mug.
When did Max ever wear beanies? It's so out of character. It's so out of bright. It's like that's the Deck 9 thing with the beanies. But I'm like, it's just like me if I came on here with beanie. Imagine if I came on here with beanie and you weren't wearing a beanie. It'd be like, what has even happened here? Like, just to confirm as well, you don't go out or Target out of your own choice as well. This is your partner that takes you to Target.
Target. Okay, so again, I live in Fargo, and there's not many stores that you can get like certain things from. Like even like I don't know, like I can't think off the top of my head, but there's not a lot of stores around here. But Target's going to be your one place that like has the thing you need. So I go out of like, damn, dude, like I have to do this now. And the Walmart that we have, no, I don't deal with that. There's a Walmart here that every local is just like, no, don't go to that Walmart. And it's true. But yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to wrap my point up here and then we'll move on after this. basically when you said about Max, yeah, that was the great thing about character storytelling, development, everything else about that original Max. You project yourself on her, no matter who you were, whatever spectrum you were on, whatever person however you'd identify yourself. She was an empty vessel which every person could project herself onto. That's what made her great. And she wasn't a marketing ploy. She was never able to be marketing ploy. Now she's become quite a marketing ploy, which again, hopefully, let's see what happens. But let us know what you think in the comments as well. I'm interested to hear what you think about marketing. I think it's a big red flag, personally speaking. Go on for hours about this, but I think it's best to kind of move on from here. Adam, comment of the day?
Yes, it's a big one.
So comment of the podcast, and I haven't replied to this yet on YouTube, but I think it's a very good one. So I'm going to do this. Adam, would you prefer me to read the entire thing out and then we talk about it, or do you want to do it paragraph by paragraph?
Let's read the entire thing.
Okay, let's do this. So this is from @Lerky, who said, and I'll read this out. So, hi there. First of all, let me preface this by saying that I'm a creative writer and narrative designer with a few shipped products under my belt, and Life is Strange was the game that gave me the push I needed to pursue this career. So I'm eternally grateful to that game. So to me, and based on fully on narrative, there's only one correct choice at the end of Life is Strange. Everyone, of course, can have their preferred one, and that's how it should be. It's your story after all. But taking into account what Deck 9 says they respect both endings, writing the sequel is going to be a tad tricky. But it's still better than just canonizing one ending and peeving off half of the fan base. Last time I replayed Life is Strange, the ending choice was similar, like 49% versus 51%. That said, there's this saying in narrative, especially with interactive stories, quote unquote, if a character can die, consider them dead in the sequel, end quote. Well, a tad contrived, it essentially means that giving the experiencer, player, reader, etc., the possibility to impact on any character's fate, it would be easy to consider them not present in the sequel. And this is why BioWare struggles with Dragon Age and Mass Effect series. That saying also takes into consideration the newer experiencer who has no experience prior to knowledge of what has happened in prior installments and then doesn't feel alienated because of that. But it also affects long-time fans since they might expect the character to return. So how is this done in games? 4 possibilities. Never mention the character. Not good, especially not for long-time fans. Mention character and explain why they're not around. Not good. Can feel a bit cheaty towards fans. How a character be present, if applicable. Best, but it requires much more effort, resources, and time, extremely heavy on development, or the character makes a cameo with explanation why they're not actively present, if applicable, the most common way, which is usually not enough to appease everyone if one well. My guess is that Chloe, if live, will make some sort of cameo here, and it's explained during the game why she's not around actively. Text, phone call, short cameo is what I think will happen. But with Chloe, there's one more thing to consider. It's heavily implied that Max and Chloe have romantical feelings towards one another in Life is Strange, but not every player wants that. Life is Strange 2, apparently, I've not played that game. You should play that game, by the way. Mentions Max and Chloe living together if that ending was chosen. A clever way to hand wave that problem, since living together can mean either way. I'm curious to see what Deck 9 will do with this. The most obvious way is to give the player the option to choose the nature of said relationship and reflect that in dialogue. Finally, but I am sure Chloe Price will show up in double exposure if she's currently alive. Deck 9 would not take the risk to anger a large portion of the fan base. I've seen the passion of Life is Strange fans. There would be rage if they can help it. There is a way to respect both endings and the fans, but it would be require clever writing. Is Deck 9 up for the task? Life is Strange is a beloved game, so hopefully they do the best. So firstly, thank you for that very, very insightful comment. Adam?
Yes. Me. That's my name.
Yes. Would you like to comment first, or do you want me to comment first?
No, there's a good insight into this, especially since they are a creative writer. And that's the thing. It's like writing, especially for games, is intense. I remember hearing interviews with Gary Whitta, who just said, like, I will never ever do a choice-based game ever again, because he said that usually one page will equal 1 minute of dialogue. So for an hour-long pilot, you're going to have a 45 page to a 60-page script. For The Walking Dead, he said he had a 500-page script because of how much went into it. That being said, to canonize both endings is the trickiest thing you can do, especially with this fandom, especially with respecting both. That's a heavy promise. I do like the quote that they gave saying, I'm trying to find it. That said, the narrative, if a character can die, consider them dead in the sequel. And I think that's a good way to put it. Like they are dead in the sequel, but because Square wants their money, they're just going to say like, no, it's a Schrodinger's cat situation. I do want to point out to the Mass Effect series though that Mass Effect. Yes. Oh my
God. When I read this, I knew it was you. I was like, oh, actually, quite poignant reference point.
Yeah. So the Mass Effect series, I will defend to the day I die. I don't care that people were pissed at Mass Effect 3, but Mass Effect was written as a trilogy. It was planned as a trilogy. The entire game is linked and it is rooted within each other. I will say you are correct about Dragon Age. Dragon Age it doesn't age well. I will put it that way. Dragon Age. What's that?
Pun intended.
Yes, actually, it did not age well. I don't think that they handled death well in Dragon Age. I think that was kind of like meh, but like Mass Effect was written to be a trilogy, which is why any character that can die in that game will be linked to your choices in the second game. It's all rooted. So I think people need to understand it before they go into Mass Effect, but that is what it is. I will say yes, you are correct about Dragon Age. But yes, like that's the thing. There are 4 possibilities, and that's the thing. I think going into the 4 possibilities thing goes into a phrase that I live by. It's saying like, man, there's 1,000 ways you can drink water, and you decide to drink out of a toilet. And I feel like Square Enix is doing that. There's like 1,000 ways you can mention Chloe, and I feel like when we get to Chloe, and I think this Leckery is correct by saying that Chloe will appear in the game, but it will be drinking out of a toilet. That's the way. There's 1,000 ways you can put in Chloe, and you decide to make her drink out of a toilet. Yeah, and that's the other sad part, that you didn't play Life is Strange 2. I liked the way Chloe and Max appeared in Life is Strange 2. It was through a phone call to a certain character, and I love that. That was a very good way to include that. Like that was the best way you could have done it. And who wrote Life is Strange 2? Who wrote Life is Strange 2? Michelle Coe. Michelle Coe knows how to build characters and use the environment to his design. So yes, I agree 100%. I think this is a great insight into what we can expect.
Yeah, no, I think it's fantastic. When I read this comment, this came up quite late and we haven't responded yet, but I will respond to you. Thank you for the comment. I think it's really insightful. Firstly, let me just tackle paragraphs quickly. Fantastic, you've worked on stuff. I hope you ship more stuff because your insight is fantastic from that. I agree with you where you said that the endings are split completely, because obviously it's not as concise as it is. Social media will tell you it's different, but it is almost like a 50-50 ending in the way people see things. I said it before, Chloe Price, some people love her, some people despise her guts. It's kind of like, it's literally a 50-50 balance again from what I've seen. Again as well, even that part where you talk about narrative stories, like where characters appear in sequels and stuff, again, it doesn't surprise me, because you start having to appeal to a new fan base. You might have to rewrite things. Anything is possible there. I haven't played Dragon Age or Mass Effect. Adam have to give insight on that, but I think that is an important part of it. The 4 possibilities is very much true. I think I've said this time and time again. I think she's in the game. I think she's shown differently.
I think so too.
I keep thinking of the Oxenfree conversation me and Adam had in the review, which you can go and check out. There's a character in there which I kept referring to. It pops up in my head, and it was only Adam's perspective saying that it was your character that's different from the one that's in the game, which is a different perspective. And I think that's what you're going to see again from Chloe. I think Chloe will be subsidized through text phone calls, flashbacks, whatever else will happen. She might appear in the game, but it'll be a very different Chloe from that. And then as well, even itself here as well, I'll say something about your comment. Lifeis2-D brought this up for me as well. He also said that Max is also doesn't even have to have a love interest. Max can just be Max. You can have a love interest. You can have Warren, or like Chloe Price is your interest. You can be on your own, so you don't even have to have the kind of thing about that. But again, even Michelle, Luke, and the Don't Know team have implied that Max and Chloe do become quite a thing, if anything. Alluded to that. Again, it's not explicitly said, but they do allude to they are a thing in some kind of way, shape, or form. Whether it's friendship or manifesting something more, that is down to you. And then finally, yeah, the big question is, can you do it? 'Cause it's like, she will appear in the game because they will anger fans. I think the marketing is done intentionally because I don't think they see a future for her. Still think there's a soft reboot because I think Max will be the figurehead of that reboot of that series, where they'll have more games with her in it. But I don't think that she's going to play that predominant role, hence why she's not in the marketing of it. She should be there from the beginning because it makes sense. However, again, I will say this, and Adam, one day you'll get to it as well. When you see Emma Vicelli's comics, you'll see what happens there. Because if you're going to try and you can't canonize both endings, and she basically tries to deal with the metaverse style stories where it's like you keep both endings open ended and you kind of work into a story which eventually starts converging things together. That's the only way that I've seen do it. Again, if you haven't played it already, go and read some essays on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Remake. They are the most recent iterations of Square Enix games. They're telling you what they're going to do with Life is Strange. That's my opinion. I think that they're a very clear indictment of that. So we'll wrap up there. I think that should be the topic in itself. That conversation, that comment's like laid with things. I kind of regret not making that the main topic of anything, but thank you for the comment.
Yeah.
It's very wonderful. And yeah, again, as always, guys, as well, leave your comment in the YouTube video. We're out in the next episode. We always kind of rotate through people. So if you want your comment feature, if you want to ask us something, feel free to. Adam, I know this has gone for quite a long time. I kind of overestimate all the subjects we'd have, but spread the arts.
Yes, let's do it. You can go first.
You want to go? So me first. I haven't really got anything that I want to recommend per se.
Okay.
I'm in that mood again of like recently where it's like I've not really done as much as I wanted to. I did actually, I will say this, I did revisit Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
Yes.
Because there is a new Alien film coming out, so I decided to go and watch those again because I was a big fan of Prometheus in terms of its visual art style and what Ridley Scott was doing with it. And this was, I think, in the period where Ridley Scott was like, it's not aliens, and then eventually kind of like then does the most Ridley Scott thing possible. And then when basically with like an out and out Alien sequel and tried to tie it all into the universe. It was an interesting thing. I don't think obviously the first two Alien films are the best. Ridley Scott's James Cameron's like masterpieces in both horror and action horror. But I did enjoy it. I forgot how great Michael Fassbender is in those films as well. He's a very, very good, very good performer as David. And I think it's Worf in the other character, but it's like very good performer in there. It's interesting though. I think like one of those things that happens when I watch those kind of films is it makes me feel sorry for like the world that we live in now, because like I imagine if you're born now post 2010 or something, you will never experience. You'll experience cultural topics, conversations and stuff, but I still don't see creations on the same level as like a Xenomorph or the same as a Facehugger or any like creative mind of like Ridley Scott that's kind of being produced. The industry is just basically it's just like, it's safe. It's not, you needed those times where people like wanted to get a camera, go and record something or create something which was mind blowing for its time. You go watch the original Alien film, people would probably laugh at it now. That was like cinematic Marvel masterpiece of like what you see in terms of like CGIs and effects. But yeah, it was interesting for them to go and watch. If you haven't watched them, I would recommend rewatching it because the new film is not even connected to them. I think it's set between the first Alien and the second Alien film, if I remember correctly. So it's a completely different direction they've gone down. And I thought that they might have continued after Covenant when Ridley Scott did his film, but no, apparently not. So that would be mine. So if I was going to actually recommend something, I'd probably say go and recommend watching Prometheus again. It was a very interesting film, divided quite a few people, but I think it's quite a nice addition to the Alien universe, if anything.
Very cool. Very cool. Definitely. My recommendation actually comes from my iPod. So,
wow, I haven't seen one of those in years.
Yeah, dog. The old iPod Touch. And it's a new album that came out on Friday. It is Logic's new album called Ultra 85. So I recommend listening to this, especially if you're a big Logic fan. This is his final album in terms of just like straight like being Logic, right? If you don't know, Logic was signed with Def Jam, and then like soon after he did his retirement album, which was No Pressure, and then he did a couple albums after that. And now he's like fully independent. And Ultra 85 is actually a direct sequel from his second album, The Incredible True Story. So it's a direct sequel to that. It's the same kind of storyline with Kai and Talia. So it's got all those characters in it. But what's great about this album is that you can tell it's his final album. You can tell that he's accepted himself. You can tell that he's like saying like, no, this is who I am. Like, I'm not Logic anymore. I'm Bobby. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a man. I'm an artist. So it's a very honest, it's a very vulnerable album. So I highly recommend checking it out. So that's Logic's Ultra 85. Another highlight that also came out this month. It came out last week. Killer Mike dropped an album, which is a direct response to when he won the Grammy for Best Rap Album, and it's more of a gospel album. So that's called Sinners and Saints. I can't remember the full title off the top of my head, but Killer Mike did drop a new album. But 2 albums back to back, like really vulnerable albums. So but I just listened to Logic's Ultra 85. It's an excellent album. So go check that out if you are a big Logic fan.
Those are good picks. I'm just looking for your thing. It's Songs for Sinners and Saints. That's the album.
Yes, Songs for Sinners and Saints. Yeah, that one's a good one.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick. And I'll let you listen to your iPod as well. Oh my God, I feel so old.
Yeah, dude. The old iPod Touch, baby.
By the way, as well, here's quite crazy part. It's like when you look at like Lost Records, it's set in the 90s. That's just predating the iPod's advency. So imagine if like Swan was holding an iPod and they'd set it early 2000s. Like we're not that far away from the realm of that being a game where it's like set in the early 2000s as like an experience of a childhood. And it's they have like an iPod, for example, as like a cultural relevance. It's like, oh my God. Well, it's quite cool that you have the iPod there. You can see it, like, it just feels, it's weird because that in itself, if you're a young listener listening to us, that is one of the 3 most revolutionary products that Steve Jobs ever introduced. And that still looks like it's ahead of its time compared to some of the stuff that's put out now. And when you see what Apple is doing now, it's just so weird. Like the company is completely gone off a completely different thing, but that's for a conversation with Apple. But yeah, great recommendations there. That's all done. And I think we'll wrap it up here. It's a bit longer than usual, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Let us know your feelings. Let us know in the comments what you think about the marketing. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Do you agree with Adam? Do you think like he's being too basic? Maybe you should get some Doc Martens. Let us know in the comments. But yeah, we'll wrap up there. Thank you for joining us. As always, one last time, please do consider dropping subscribe to the channel, turn notifications, let the video, and share with your friends. Helps keep up to date with all the content we do here. We do a lot of Lifeis2-D interviews. There's an Emma Vicelli interview on the channel. There's a lot of interviews on the channel that are just exclusive to YouTube. So do check us out there. And also as well, StrangeCast available on all podcast services. So go and check us out on Apple Podcasts. Check us out on Spotify. We're available on everything. Again, thank you so much to over 200 followers on Spotify, 25 ratings. Honestly, it means so much to us, and it helps boost our visibility a lot. We get seen a lot on Spotify, so do rate us. Yeah, so stay tuned, guys. Lost Records Journal will be up next. There will be the Gamescom event. I might live stream that if people are interested, so I could do post reaction. I don't think Adam will be available because it's on European time, so it'll be a bit difficult to schedule, but I might do a live stream.
Or Gamescom?
Yeah.
I think I had noticed that opening night starts at 1 p.m. my time, so I'll probably be at work. Yeah,
it's not. Oh, is that one? I might actually be in work at that time. Oh God. Oh no.
Well, for you, it's going to be 8 p.m. Like I think it starts at
Oh.
Yeah, so 8 p.m. Cologne time. So yeah, you have to look that up. But yeah, it is opening night. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be like an hour ahead or 2 hours. Yeah, I won't be too far ahead, but I might do like potentially a live stream if people are interested. Let us know in the comments. But yeah, anyway, stay tuned. StrangeCast will be back later this month. Hopefully, we're trying to sort something out that, but hopefully we'll get something else sorted. But yeah, stay tuned. We're back later this month. Take care. Bye.
Peace.
Ready for the mosh pit, Shaka Bra.